Welcome to the future. Things are getting pretty intense when it comes to gaming in the current generation and next generation as well. I'm sure all of you have been seeing a lot of these projects that are popping up now using Unreal Engine 5 that look pretty lifelike. Very like if you're just looking at some of these games, you're probably under the assumption that you're watching just a video in the real world. It is incredible how far the technology has come for video game graphics. Now, Mudahar just made a video going over some of the projects. I'd like to show you just a clip of that.
Now, if you're looking at this and wondering, is that really gameplay? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is gameplay of a body cam footage project. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, it obviously is real actual gameplay simply because if you look closely at the lighting, the shadowing, the ambient occlusion, the way that any animation works, it's obviously not real footage. But you'd be hard-pressed, obviously, at first glance if you watch this. You might expect to see the LiveLeak logo sitting somewhere.
He's absolutely right. If you just showed me that video as I was scrolling through Twitter, I'd 100% think I was on LiveLeak. It really does look like you're just watching real footage of someone getting into a gunfight. But it's not. It is a game. And there's been quite a few projects like this that are kind of popping up all over the place and blowing people's mind. The most recent one is something called Unrecord, which is another body cam FPS game that's getting a lot of hype. And of course, since it's the internet, everything's controversial, so it's led to a bit of a debate. It's kind of unearthed an ancient debate, kind of like opening a sarcophagus and looking at an old mummy. The debate of video games being too realistic. This is something that existed back when the first Doom came out. And looking back on Doom, you're like, how could anyone ever think that this looked real? But back then, people were concerned because the graphics were innovative for their time. They were saying the game is so realistic that it's going to lead to people being violent. It's going to confuse the young, spongy mind of children that might play the game and distort their view on reality. And that whole debate kind of got sidelined over the last 10 or so years. It was kind of something that still got talked about occasionally, but usually by just out-of-touch archaic fossils that don't play games in the first place. But now with this new wave of graphics that are dragging us kicking and screaming into the fucking deep future of tech here, it's kind of lit a fire under the ass of that whole talking point again because the games look so real. Unreal Engine 5 is mind-blowing, the capabilities of it. The lighting in particular is on a whole nother level that I didn't think would be possible for another fucking 100 years. This is a Power Rangers Time Force level technology we're dealing with, the year 3000. So since these games are looking so real, people that aren't just out of touch old people, geriatric, senile people, are talking about it. People that actually engage in the medium. Real gamers are talking about concern over these games looking as real as they do for younger players and maybe being bad for their brains because it looks so real. So it's been kind of a hot topic recently, and I was going over it a bit on stream as well as talking about some of the other implementations we might see in these titles, such as AI integration, which is something games have been doing a lot of recently, and just kind of going over what gaming could look like over the next 10 or so years, and it's fucking crazy. But real quick, I'll go ahead and boil down the main talking points so that way there's no confusion on the subject. There are people arguing that since these games look almost indistinguishable from real life footage, that it's going to lead to players being desensitized to real violence and shit like that. It's going to lead to them not being able to really separate reality from the fiction that they're playing when it comes to games that look this realistic. So the concern is over these games being so lifelike, and since you're killing people in the games and shit, when these same players see that kind of violence in the real world, they might not care as much, or it might kind of bastardize their perception of actual real world horrors. So that's kind of the argument in a nutshell. There's a lot more nuance to it, but just kind of give you the bullet points of it. Right now the discussion is mainly focused on these shooters that are utilizing this technology, but I'm sure as it continues to evolve and expand, it'll also branch into other genres as well that will lead to similar debates about the technology and the effect it might have on younger players and shit like that. Did you already see the Unrecord trailer? Yes, I've already seen the Unrecord trailer. It was very cool, and now there's also a horror game that got announced. It all looks very nice. I am also impressed, just like everybody else. What horror game? I don't remember what it's called, but there's another one just like this. Instead of being a shooter, it's a horror game. Reminds me of the old Jurassic Park game with the insane physics. Jurassic Park Trespasser. There's a video showing it's not fake by generating in random spots and blasting everywhere. Yeah, I saw that. Who wants to play a shooter this realistic it just becomes uncomfortable? I've seen that take from a few people, and I actually completely understand where that's coming from. Because this looks like actual footage. And the people you're shooting look like real people. It looks like a fucking snuff film. So I do get it. I don't know if I fully agree with it, but I understand the perspective. Reminds me of Hardcore Henry. A little bit. Didn't people say the same shit 20 years ago? Yeah. And they'll continue to say it as things continue to evolve. But this one, it's not like 20 years ago. 20 years ago, it's like, these graphics are too realistic, and there's like fucking 3 polygons for Lara Croft's tits or whatever. This is indistinguishable from real life for most people. I mean, maybe not this shot in particular because of things like this kind of giving it away. But on the whole, if you just saw this footage, you'd think you're watching either a movie like Hardcore Henry or real footage. How long until the Hatred devs make something fucked up with this type of gameplay? That's something that could absolutely happen. Media outlets are definitely going to come after this game saying it makes killers. Well, they come after that for actually every game and everything ever. It's just this one is going to be a little more controversial because it looks so realistic. You think it should be rated AO? Is that some perspective people are tossing around? Because that was something I was considering as well. Like, when I read Train's take in particular, I was like, it's not a bad point. Like, I do understand the point he's making. So I was thinking, like, would it be something that would be an adults-only game? I was like, maybe. I just don't know. Because I feel like you can't shelter people from art. The second you do that, it makes things much worse. And if someone is going to play this game and then translate it to real-world violence, that person had a predisposition to that kind of shit anyway and needed more parental guidance. And I wouldn't really put that on the game's shoulders, really. Same way if they made a game that's super realistic and it was all about driving, I wouldn't then expect a kid to go out there and start doing like ramps off a tow truck or anything in the real world. But it is just so realistic that for a kid in particular, it will be indistinguishable from real life to them. So I wonder what kind of effect that would have on their perspective on everything in the world. Why would a kid play an M game? Brother, why even... You already know the answer to that question. You played M games when you were a kid too, I bet. Once you reach like 12 years old, your parents will just get you any game or whatever. Fucking 6-year-olds are the main demographic for Call of Duty these days. That's M. I don't know what the difference is between a movie like Friday the 13th and a realistic-looking video game. You're not controlling the movie, is the difference. But, I mean, there's probably arguments you could make for a movie that crosses a line or something as well. I'm sure that could extend there. I haven't really seen that before, but I'm sure you could probably make a compelling argument in that territory. Not Friday the 13th, though. You need something more realistic than that. I don't think it'll be a big topic until these games get gory. Well, you're just wrong. It's already a big topic now, and the games aren't even existing yet. You're a little off the mark on that timeline. Your mind calendar needs some calibration. Wait till we get those realistic AI acting NPCs. Oh my god. Yeah, you remember that story we read about how they're using AI to do like really well-written side characters in big games in order to take the load off the writers? The grunt throwaway work, they're having AI just write the lines. Imagine in a game like this, you have like the bad guys, you know, like pleading with you, giving like really compelling stories. Like, please, oh my god, the gang boss Bill, he made all these promises and my family just really needed the money. Please spare me. Like really fucking heartstring tugging shit. You just blast them with the Glock and it just all looks so real. Oh, that'll be a wild combo. Wait till they also know all your data so they can customize their pleas based on your personality. Oh, we're getting so deep. Yeah, so imagine same scenario. You shoot the gun out of the terrorist's hands. He's like, oh god, he tries to beg for mercy. Oh, please. Leader Cliff made all these promises, and then he like the game's already gone through your entire Twitter page and sees where you lie on a lot of like hot topics. He's like, my wife she was considering an abortion and we couldn't pay for it, and Gang Boss Cliff came in, and I mean, come on, man, you have to understand, like really fine tuning it to you, the player. Fucking crazy. That'd be some Black Mirror shit. Yeah, I wouldn't even. At that point, I'd start getting confused. I'm out here playing shit. I don't even. Rough, tough McShooty, and all of a sudden, one of the guys I'm about to put down like a rabid animal starts pleading with me and's like really agreeable on things I like. He's like, "Oh man, I love Courage the Cowardly Dog. Do you like that show? Charles, I know it's you behind the controller. Please spare me, brother. No, God, I also love chicken Alfredo. Please, Charlie, God." Then I'd start crying. I'd be going through a PTSD episode about to put this man down for the sake of the mission. I just subbed to you, Charlie, please. No, don't do this. Not after Moist Esports just got a huge W with Moki winning. Charlie, no. Don't soil it. Let me live. Imagine if they insert our loved ones into the games. That is top tier shit right there. But they put them in like the worst positions ever. Like the people you're hunting are your loved ones, so you get to the final boss fight and it's your fucking sister or something. Grandma comes scooting in on the wheelchair. And it's like a really emotional cutscene.